Only 5 years ago, China was still early in its EV transition, lagging behind many other countries. But today, it's a global leader and just goes to show how resistance from companies and governments being hostile to better technology can slow transition. So whilst the West was dragging its feet, China was gearing up for an inevitable change in the industry that had already started, and as a result became the top global exporter of automobiles last year, stealing the crown from Japan. Now, obviously, a massive domestic market and strong battery technology development helps, as well as a robust EV manufacturing and supply chain with access to raw materials. But you've got to hand it to them. The rate at which China has transformed the car industry is staggering. With rapid expansion and numerous brands vying for a share of the market, a lot of startups have fallen by the wayside. Xpeng doesn't seem to be one of them. I won't bore you with the entire history of the brand, but you need to know a little to understand the ethos behind it. It all began with Xpeng. Now you know where the name came from. After graduating computer science, he developed a large capacity email system for a state-owned enterprise with a talented code writer. In 2004, they started their own company, UC Web, focusing on mobile applications, which at the time was in its infancy. UC Web quickly became China's most popular mobile browser, and in 2014, the company sold for a staggering 4.3 billion. In the same year, Xpeng is one of the first Chinese citizens to receive a Tesla car. So impressed with it, he wanted to develop a smart EV himself, so recruited 2 automotive engineers and founded his technology company. Fast forward to today, and it doesn't just make cars. The brand is also involved in software, robotics, and even flying vehicles. Right, let's get round to this car review, shall we? This is the G6, Xpeng's third car model, and became available in the UK earlier this year through UK distributors International Motors. Key stats then. It's yet another mid-size coupe SUV. It has up to 342 miles of range. It will do the 0 to 62 dash in 6.2 seconds. It can charge from 10 to 80% in 20 minutes. It has a 5-year warranty, and it's very well equipped and priced from £39,990. That's for the rear-wheel drive standard range, which we have on test and is fitted with a 66 kilowatt-hour LFP battery, providing a 270-mile range and a maximum charging speed of 210 kilowatts. The rear-wheel drive long range offers 342 miles thanks to an NCM 87.5 kilowatt-hour battery for £5,000 more. There are no trim options. When we went to the UK launch a few months ago, the company were keen to tell journalists that their core focus is on developing and integrating intelligent technology into its vehicles, with the aim to revolutionise the future of mobility with AI-powered solutions. So let's address that first. The G6 is equipped with X-Smart OS, Xpeng's advanced operating system that powers the almost 15-inch infotainment system, where you can also access the X-Pilot driver assistance. The ADAS system has 12 ultrasonic sensors and 12 cameras, providing 12 safety functions, 5 active driving functions and 6 parking functions. The autonomous features work well for the best part, but not quite on a par with Tesla. Better than anything else we've driven though. Xpeng's AI...
Hi there. Could you please say it in another way? I'm not sure I understood correctly.
Xpeng's AI-powered...
I'm listening.
I know you are.
Could you please say it in another way? I'm not sure I understood correctly.
Okay. Xpeng's AI-powered virtual assistant, there she was, can understand and respond to complex commands without a network connection. But she doesn't always understand your commands. Hey, Xpeng.
Hi.
How do I open the charge port?
Could you please say it in another way? I'm not sure I understood correctly.
Hey, Xpeng.
Hey,
Adjust the temperature.
could you please say it in another way? I'm not sure I understood correctly.
Hey, Xpeng,
Hi,
put on the heated steering wheel.
steering wheel heating is on.
Aha, she did score 1 out of 3 that time. There are two 50-watt induction charger points for the smartphones with cooling. It also has a 960-watt 18-speaker audio system and access to an extensive library of video, entertainment, songs and social media apps. Now, styling. Probably best not to refer to the press pack for this, as it feels like things are being lost in translation or it's just PR bullshit. The exterior is apparently inspired by science, exploration and technology. The front, for example, takes on the brand's emotional robot face design language. I know what you're actually thinking. It could be mistaken for a Model Y, but the G6 was actually launched before Tesla redesigned it. Some liken the front to a Hyundai Kona, while at the rear, others think it's reminiscent of the Jaguar I-Pace or Porsche Cayenne. I think it's all very unremarkable. If Robocop was a chicken and it laid an egg, it would definitely look like this. It surprised me to find out that it was penned by the chap who led the design of the Lamborghini Gallardo Spider. Still, it's better looking than the Model Y. The interior apparently says technology, simplicity, comfort and health. To be fair, it does tick all of those boxes, even the last one with an air purification system and a mindfulness setting, which alters the cabin's temperature, lighting and stereo functions to improve your mood. I'd personally say it's smart, well built, roomy and practical, but not as luxurious as the Genesis GV60. Back to that infotainment. It's laid out in a very similar way to the Tesla. The graphics are super crisp and it's very responsive, but the icons are pretty small and therefore hard to use on the move. But once you get used to the layout, it's fine. There's also a huge lack of buttons. You have to go into car settings on the screen just to move the side mirrors or turn on the rear heated windscreen, for example. At least there are buttons with scrolls on the steering wheel, but they're unmarked too. So when you get in, it's just a case of push it and see what happens. Also, why is the steering wheel almost rectangular? There is at least a 10.2-inch digital driver's display, which is more than you get on a Model Y. Here's a question for you car geeks. Where is this stalk from? For those of you who guessed Mercedes, 4 points. A bit odd when the rest of the interior is so well appointed. On the road then, it has 255 brake horsepower, which is enough to propel you from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 6.9 seconds, which is fairly respectable. It has 4 levels of brake regen, which annoyingly you have to access through the screen. At least the strongest setting allows a creeping level of braking. And the brake pedal itself feels well judged, and the transition between the actual discs and pads and the regen is really smooth. The biggest issue I have with this car is that there's very little feeling in the steering. In fact, I'd go as far as to say it's one of the most disconnected systems I've ever experienced in an EV. It is a little better in sports mode at least, and other than that, it drives very nicely. On country roads, the car feels balanced and well damped, offering a really comfortable ride. The star of the show is definitely the suspension. It's not overly soft, nor is it crashy. It just feels perfectly set up for British roads. I mean, it's far from dynamic or exciting, but a better drive overall than most of its competitors. It's neutral, ordinary, and like most other electric SUVs, just feels a bit soulless, but it does do its job well. In fact, I'd go as far as to say I would seriously consider buying this over a Model Y. I'll tell you what else I like. The rear seats offer 12 levels of recline, whilst the fronts can lie almost completely flat. Useful for a nap whilst charging, that's if no one calls you, because it's diverted to the car through your headrest, along with navigation controls. The boot offers 571 litres of storage, more than quite a few of its rivals, but there's no glove box, or frunk. The Xpeng app allows you to remotely lock and unlock the car, see how many miles you've got left and preheat the vehicle. You can also control the vehicle in parking scenarios and monitor and record suspicious activity around the vehicle when unoccupied, just like Sentry in the Tesla. It's even called Sentry. So, what else could you get for similar money? The entry-level Volkswagen ID.4 thanks to a special offer at the time of filming, and a Ford Explorer. Both the Renault Scenic E-Tech Electric and Kia EV6 are slightly cheaper, but all of the models mentioned so far have less range, power and equipment. Offering slightly more range, you could choose from the entry-level Hyundai Ioniq 5 or a mid-level Skoda Elroq. The entry-level BYD C-Line 7 is more expensive than the Xpeng G6 long range and will go further on a charge, but it has less power. Same as the Tesla Model Y, except it's a lot faster, and it also has its own charging network, of course. Competing in one of the most crowded classes of EVs isn't easy, especially for newcomers, but this is really good. Xpeng's vision was to make China's Tesla, and that's pretty much what he's achieved. Do you remember the rise in the number of Korean cars back in the 1990s? Well, it's like that now with Chinese cars. Most of the brands you've never heard of, and you don't really know what you're getting. But the G6 is certainly among one of the best Chinese EVs we've ever driven. Yes, it's far from perfect. It's bland to look at, and it's not the most interesting thing to drive, but it's a good start for Xpeng. Smooth, refined, spacious, well built, and competitively priced for the tech. The question is, are family buyers and company car drivers ready to ditch their household brands for a Chinese newcomer? Will badge snobbery come into it, or will getting a Tesla-like vehicle for less than Tesla money be too tempting? We'll probably know in a few years' time.